It's Colleen here. Welcome to tonight's live on year ending, year beginning, year seeing off, year envisioning workshop tarot thingy. Right, let me just organize all my windows. So let's have a look. We've got comments here. Righty-ho. If there is anybody there, please say hi so I can make sure I've got my comments window open in the right place, because you never quite know with Facebook. Okay, I can see there's somebody there, so hopefully we're good. Hopefully. Right, let me move my comments over here. All right, who have we got? Who have we got? Who's there? Who's there? Tell me who's there. And how is everybody? And Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Okay, I'm not going to start talking until I know I'm not talking to myself. So, you see, you've all snuck in without me seeing. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I opened the comments window before I started, and clearly that hasn't updated. So, okay, hang on, don't go away. Let me just open that. Okay, we'll pop that over there. Sorry, so much for being organized, right? Okay, then we scroll back up, and then we bring the comments back over here. Okie dokie, right, I've got you. Oh, there's loads of people. Hello. Hey, Ben. Nice scarf and wrist warmers. Hey, Linda. Hey, Lorraine. And Dion. Oh, good morning, Dion. Whew. How's the future looking, Dion, since you're already in tomorrow? Wonderful. Happy New Year, everybody. Really, Happy New Year. Okay, while we wait for anybody else to join, I'm just quickly going to go through some announcements for what's happening in January, just to give you some updates. I am doing another charm casting course halfway through January. I've forgotten the date. Okay, I'll update that. And the Tarot Foundations course starts first weekend of February. It's been overhauled to the course that I held last year. So it's 8 lessons, but 7 weeks long. So you get a pre-recorded lesson before you actually start the course, and then it's 7 weeks after that. And then intermediate course is starting in March. I have to commit to that. Otherwise, I'll just keep adding stuff to it, and it'll end up being like a 25-year course or something. So that's starting in March. The intermediate course is going to be a choice of doing the whole course, which will be roughly 8 weeks, or you can do it per module, because it might be that there's some things that you're interested in and some things that you aren't. So you can do it per module. So I see how you go. And then, of course, Patreon. Patreon's the big excitement at the moment. So if you haven't heard about Patreon, it's a membership subscription service that I started. And there's a variety of tiers, but the 2 main tiers really are a flat fee for 4 tutorials a month, and then another flat fee for 4 tutorials plus a monthly chat, which is just depending on what's going on. So do check that out. I do post links every now and again, so I won't bore you with all the details now. So righty-ho. So Dion says it's raining but stinking hot. Your future looks bright. Okay, I can do with hot. As you can tell, it's not hot here. Sydney, thank you for waking up early, Dion. Thank you. Okie dokie. Okay, so I created this little workshop. And when I was typing all the notes earlier on, it became clear to me that people were going to need time to write and copy things down. So I ended up putting it in a Word document, and before I knew, I thought, oh, there's a little mini workbook happening here. So I've just uploaded it to the files section. You can use it for tonight, or you can just go through it with me tonight and then download it at your own time and work on it. And it's basically broken down into 2 sections, which I feel are very important. One is to let go of the last year, and one is to welcome in the new year. Okay, so it's broken into 2 sections. Hey Carrie, we've just literally started, so you haven't missed anything. I was just explaining that the workshop's kind of split into 2 sections. So one to say goodbye to the old year, and one to kind of welcome the new year in. And I think that's important because we have to still acknowledge the stuff that happened in the old year, both good and bad, in order to close it. And once we've done that, we can then welcome in the new year. But we can welcome in the new year with kind of a fresh start attitude, rather than go, oh, last year was so crap, I don't want to know anything about last year, because there's a lot of things that happened last year that perhaps were beneficial, but we might not see that at the time. Hi Nikki. Okay, no problem. You can always watch the replay, Nikki, if you're having to nip in and out too often. So is everybody good, right? Everybody's good with that. So what I've done is I've got this workbook. So I want you to pull out your Death card and your 8 of Cups card. And the reason it's these 2 cards is when I was thinking about, okay, we want to say goodbye. We want to close off last year. We want to end it in a nice way. It has to have an official closing ceremony. These were just the first 2 cards that popped into my head. I mean, yeah, there's lots of other cards that perhaps symbolize endings or walking away, but these were the 2 that popped up immediately. The Death card, primarily, because obviously that's perfect for old year's ending and new year's coming in, right? So there's your endings and your beginnings in one fell swoop. And 8 of Cups, because I think that it's primarily emotions that people hang on to from things that perhaps haven't worked out quite as they were hoping to. So these are the 2 cards. Now in the little workbook, you'll see, here it is, funky workbook. So we're going to go through the questions, but in the workbook, when you download it, you've got space here to write your answers, all right? So what you need to do is you need to ponder. You need to ponder upon the Death card and the 8 of Cups card, whichever deck you choose to work with. Linda, you're here, aren't you? Yes. So Linda has a very specific sort of like pagan themed deck, if you like. So her cards might have a very distinct meaning for these 2 specific cards. So whichever deck that you're working with, even if you have to read up about the Death card and the 8 of Cups, okay? So I want you to immerse yourself in those 2 cards. And I want you to think about last year, the 2021, and I want you to think about closing it off and leaving it behind. All right, so we're gonna work through some questions, but you need to have that mindset up front, okay? So that's why we have to meditate or ponder or dive in or path work or whichever phrase you choose with these 2 cards, all right? And then in the workbook, I want you to think about what you accomplished last year. Now, I'm not talking about I got a degree in astrophysics and, I bought 3 cars and, I had 6 children. Who has 6 children? I'm not talking about major things, okay? I'm talking about what did you accomplish? Did you manage to stay sane the entire year? Did you manage to stay safe in a global pandemic? Did you manage to you know, continue to work? Did you manage to take a vacation? Did you manage to, you know, lose weight or not put on weight? Or, you know, did you manage to stick to a daily tarot card practice? You know, it doesn't matter how small these things are, but what did you accomplish? If you look back over the last year, what did you accomplish? All right. And really, please, 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 these are not major things. The smaller the better, because you know, the smaller they are, you can probably write more on your list. So psychologically it looks good, right? So just really just brainstorm, and you don't have to rush through this worksheet. So just, you know, take your time and think about it. So Ben says 6 kids in a year would be a pretty big accomplishment. Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't even know where I got that from. 6 kids. Maybe I was subconsciously thinking about my 6 cats. Oh God. So perfect. So there Carrie says, I learned to read tarot cards. Perfect. There's an accomplishment. So she obviously decided that that's what she was going to do, and she dug in and she did it. Yeah. So perfect, Carrie. That's exactly right. And you can add, you know, you can put 1 thing, you can put 5 things. It doesn't matter. Not a competition. This is a personal thing for you. Okay, so just take your time and just think through it. So Carrie also says, my husband had to go overseas to take care of his sick mum, and I learned I can adult without him. Yeah, that's a great accomplishment. Absolutely. And also, you know, psychologically and emotionally, Carrie, that's an accomplishment in itself, isn't it? The fact that someone that you love is overseas going through something quite emotional, and you're having to kind of run the house. So not only did you manage to adult, but you survived emotionally. So yeah, okay. So the first thing is what you accomplished last year. Now, then I want you to dig deeper. And when you have your list of accomplishments, I want you to think about what strengths you needed inside of you in order to achieve those accomplishments. So using Carrie's example, so excuse me. So first, Carrie says, I learned to read tarot cards. Okay, what strength would that require? Perhaps determination, perhaps time management, perhaps discipline. Yeah, the fact that Carrie's husband had to go overseas to look after his sick mum, that's an accomplishment, because she had to survive and live and run the household without him. What strength did that require? Yeah, also discipline and also time management, no doubt, right, Carrie? So I want you to think about what strengths you needed to have in order to achieve those accomplishments. And again, these are not big things, right? They can be very, very small things, but it's very important that you acknowledge the strengths that you had to have in order to accomplish those accomplishments. Hi, Jane, welcome. Okay, so that's the first 2 questions. So we're working our way down, all right? So you should have a list of accomplishments, and now you should have some strengths that you needed to tap into in order to accomplish those accomplishments. That's the positive side. And as with anything, we always need to tackle the negative side, because you can't have one without the other. You can't have positives without having negatives. Okay, because how would you know they were positive if you've got nothing to compare them with? So now I want you to look back over the last year, and I want you to write down the challenges. Now, you know, with global pandemic and lockdowns and things, I've given you 5 lines. Okay, so try and squeeze it into 5 lines. I don't know how challenging that might be for some people. Maybe that's a challenge in itself, right? But you need to write down the challenges that you faced last year, and that could be, you know, being isolated, or, you know, not the fact that you weren't going into your workplace. Perhaps you're working from home and you felt isolated, you missed people, perhaps you didn't see your family as much. You know, it could be all manner of things. All right, so these are challenges which you faced. Now, just like we wrote the list of accomplishments and the strengths that we tapped into in order to achieve those accomplishments, we also now will become aware of the weaknesses that we had, because whenever we faced challenges, they're only challenges because we weren't able to cope with them. And we couldn't cope with them because there's a weakness which needs addressing. So I'm not saying that you're weak. I'm just saying there's a weakness there that got highlighted. Okay, so for instance, if you had to work from home and you were feeling lonely and isolated, what weakness is that highlighting? It's highlighting the fact that you need to be with people. Okay, so in fact, maybe I shouldn't have called it weakness. Okay, but you know what I'm saying. It's highlighting something that you need to work on, that you need to watch out for. You know, it's something that's going to bite you in the ass when you're not careful. So perhaps I don't know, you know, maybe when Carrie's husband had to go overseas, you know, one of the challenges is that you know, she felt lonely emotionally because maybe her lovely hubby wasn't there with her, giving her hugs, and you know, and maybe she felt that was a terrible challenge, and then that's highlighting the fact that she need. Thank you, Lorraine. Yes, vulnerability is a better word. Yes, it's exposing an area of vulnerability. Thank you, Lorraine. It's a much better way of putting it. Yeah. I think I just went into opposites, you know, strengths, weaknesses, and that's perhaps not the most diplomatic word to use. So far we have accomplishments and strengths, and we have challenges and vulnerabilities. All right, so like I say, I've given you 5 lines. I hope that's enough. Then you're going to think about the worst things that happened last year. And I know this is a biggie, but bear with me because we were about to deal with it, all right? The worst things that happened to you last year. So these aren't necessarily challenges that you faced. They just, they're things that happened that sucked. Okay, things that, you know, I don't know, maybe they were your mini tower moments for the year, you know, like when we had to rehome our Sophie the tarot cat, you know, that was quite emotional for me, and that still sticks in my brain. And you know, when John had his heart attack, a lot of you were very supportive. That was back in June now, can you believe? You know, those were things that happened that were just, they were just shitty. Make a list, all right? Make a list. We're about to deal with that list, but make a list. All those bad things that happened. And, you know, the more the better. Just write them down, because like I say, we're about to deal with them. So just write them down. No matter how shitty they are, no matter how small they are, no matter how big they are, just write them down. So Ben, you say I have that in my list too. What are you referring to? Because there's a bit of a delay with the comments, remember, so. Okay, I'll wait for Ben to answer, because there's a little bit of a delay from the comments in the video. So, okay, so you've written the worst things that happened to you, and then obviously we're going to write the best things that happened to you. Okay, because we always have to deal with the opposites. Like I said, light and dark. You can't have the one without the other. So that, okay, we're about to deal with those lists. Okay. But that's the first 2 pages. The first 2 pages of this workbook is encouraging you to look back over the last year, because you're gonna look at that year face on, right? It's like facing your demons or facing your shadows. Okay, you're gonna eyeball it and say, right, this was shit, this was shit, this was great, this was great. That's it. We're gonna draw a line under it. Ben says, I'm sorry, being vulnerable. That was my challenge. Okay, I get you. I got you. So we're looking at that last year, and we're looking at the good and the bad, what we accomplished, and therefore the strengths that we have inside of ourselves in order to achieve those accomplishments. Okay, so there's your big positive. We're looking at the challenges that we faced, and the vulnerabilities that dealing with those challenges exposed. All right, so those are areas which we could perhaps work on. And then we're looking at the worst things that happened to us last year and the best things that happened to us last year. All right, and that really, in a nutshell, sums up our viewpoint of last year. Now comes the fun part. The list of the worst things that happened to you. And remember, I said the longer that list is, the better. Okay, so all those little tiny shitty things that happened, if somebody looked at you funny, if your colleague pissed you off, all those tiny little things, right up to the big things. Okay, I want you to write them on a separate piece of paper. So still, put them in your workbook, but put them on a separate piece of paper as well. And I want you to put it, I don't have another piece of paper. Okay, just pretend this is it. So put each worst thing that happened, put it in a line. Okay? Because what we're going to do is we're then going to tear that piece of paper into strips so that each of those crappy things is one strip of paper, if that makes sense. Okay, so list them on another sheet of paper. List all of them, even if there's 100 things. I want you to list every single one. And when you're writing them on that piece of paper, I want you to fully experience it when you're writing it, okay? Because this is important for how we're going to close this off. So write all those crappy things on the piece of paper. And then tear the piece of paper into strips so that each crappy thing is on one strip of paper. So you can address each issue, each crappy thing, as one strip of paper. And then I want you to find somewhere safe. Please do not make me lecture you on fire safety. Find somewhere safe. You're all adults, most of you. Find somewhere safe, either outside on a barbecue or a couple of stones or something safe, okay? Or if you're inside over a wood burner or an open fireplace. And I want you here to be personal, to do what feels great for you, right? I want you to stand in front of that little fire, even if you're just standing there with your strips of paper and a cigarette lighter, okay? And I want you to think about those worst things, and I want you to have the intention of letting those things go. I want you to let go of the experience of those shitty things, but I want you to hang on to the lesson, because we all know that when we go through hard, crappy experiences, ultimately, at some point we learn a lesson, don't we? Even if it's never do that again, okay? We always learn a lesson. So we don't want to throw the lesson away. We want to throw the emotion of the experience away. And that's why we've got the 8 of Cups here, okay? Because we're getting rid of the emotions that are tied to those bad experiences. We don't want the emotional baggage anymore. We want the lesson. We want to have remembered the lesson so that we don't do the same things again, or that perhaps we know how to better deal with it when it comes again. But we don't want the emotional baggage. And then I want you to light each of those things. And you'll see I've actually written, so there's like a list of things here which you have to do. So it just says rewrite the list, tear the paper so they're each into strips, find somewhere safe, and say the following out aloud. I release this experience, but I embrace the lesson. Okay, so that's just what I was telling you about. And watch that piece of paper burn, and take great delight in watching that piece of paper burn, all right? Because you know in yourself, you've let it go. You've let it go, all right? And that is you closing off the negative aspects of last year. Then I want you to take the list of all the best things that happened last year and also write them either on a separate piece of paper or on post-it notes. I'm obsessed with post-it notes, so I have post-it notes everywhere. and write all of the best things that happened to you last year. Write those onto little post-it notes and stick them either on a sheet of card or somewhere. You know, I keep looking up because that's where all my post-it notes are, behind my screen. And stick them up somewhere where you can see them, so that you can remind yourself that you know, some good things happened. Some good things happened last year. Okay. And that is you closing last year. All right. So that's your Death card and your Eight of Cups. That's you ending last year. And only when you've officially ended last year and you've let go of the emotional baggage of stuff that's happened last year, that's when you're ready for the new year. All right. And now we're going to go on to now how to set this year up now. 2022. Are you all ready? Are you with me so far, or have you all nodded off to sleep, wondering what Colleen's talking about? Hey Claire, post-it notes on my life. Yay, kindred spirit. I have gazillions of post-it notes. I have them in all shapes and sizes and colors and goodness knows what. Post-it notes are the best. The best are the number ones, right? What do you mean, Dion? The number ones? What does that mean? I'm not sure what you mean, Dion. Tell me what you mean, and I'll answer. Okay, so the first 2 pages in the workbook are the closing ceremony. All right, so that's you acknowledging the good and bad from last year, your strengths and your vulnerabilities from last year, the good and the bad things that happened to you. You're letting go of the bad things but hanging on to the lesson, and you're embracing the good things by making a note of them and reminding yourself of them. All right, so that's 2021 gone. Lorraine says, I could write a book on all the challenges from last year. Do it! Write a book, Lorraine. Write a book. Okay, so Dion says, on your list, the best are the number ones on your list. I'm not, sorry Dion, I'm confused. So the first thing is accomplishments and your strengths. And then challenges and your vulnerabilities or weaknesses, and then the worst things that happened and the best things that happened. Does that make sense? And then you burn all the worst things and you make notes in glorious post-it notes or whatever your obsession equivalent is. You make note of the best things. So the best are the number ones in the workbook. I don't know what's going on. What do you mean in the workbook? So accomplishments are number 1. Strengths to achieve those accomplishments. Challenges. And then weaknesses or vulnerabilities. And then worst things and best things. All right. So that's letting go of 2021. No, haven't got to the aces yet. Haven't got to the aces yet. We still this bit is saying goodbye to 2021. We haven't got to the aces yet. But now we're going to get to the aces. But the aces are to do with 2022. All right. Okay. I'm on the first page. I see now on page 2. Okay. So yeah. So first 2 pages of the workbook are saying goodbye to 2021. And now we're on to page 3, which is now the vision ceremony. So now we're looking forward to 2022. Sorry for the confusion. Okay, so now that we've done the closing ceremony for 2021, now we're looking forward to 2022. But now we're going to jump right forward until the end of this year. So bear with me on this, right? So pretend you are now sitting and it's the 31st of December 2022. All right, so basically we're just pretending that we've gone a year ahead, and now we're going to look back at 2022. Does that make sense? So just pretend that we're at the end of 2022 and we're looking back at what we've done in 2022. Now we're on the aces. So pretend you're looking back at 2022. Okay, grab your Ace of Pentacles, because Pentacles are about finances and resources and all those goody things, and the Ace is on your beginning. So we're looking back to see how we started. I'm just going to confuse you so much, but anyway, okay, so you're looking back. Okay, pretend by the time you get to the end of this year, what do you hope to have achieved financially, or anything to do with resources? Okay, what do you hope to have achieved? So by the end of this year, what do you hope to have achieved financially? Do you hope to have saved a certain amount of money? Do you hope that you've been able to afford a new car, put a deposit on a house, bought yourself a new wardrobe? Anything to do with finances or resources? What do you hope that by the end of this year you can look back and say, yep, that's what I did? That is your Ace of Pentacles. So that's the first question here. Okay, so again, the Ace of Pentacles. Pentacles are about finances and resources, and you know, this is about starting something. So obviously, yes, we're starting now, but we're pretending that we're at the end of the year so we can look back at what we've achieved. It's kind of an odd way of looking forward in order to see what your goals need to be for this year, if that makes sense. Okay, then we're going to grab our Ace of Swords, and we're going to say, by the end of the year, what do I hope to have achieved with regards to my thoughts or the way that I communicate? So perhaps by the end of the year, I need to stop thinking negatively about how big my ears are. I need to stop thinking negatively about, you know, money. I need to stop thinking negatively about myself, my self-image, the way I talk. I need to stop, or I need to start. There's going to be some change with the way that you're thinking, or some change with the way that you're communicating. Perhaps you apologize too much. So perhaps by the end of the year, you're going to change the way that you communicate. So you're going to stop apologizing so much. Perhaps you're going to start communicating more with people. Perhaps you're going to start communicating less and allowing others to talk more and you to listen more. Okay, so the Ace of Swords, this is about how we are going to, by the end of this year, how do we hope to have changed the way that we think or communicate? Is that making sense? Making sense? Is everybody with me? I'm going to have a glug of water. Okie dokie. Oh wow, Claire's, you see, Claire, you've got a fab plan ahead there. Start my new charity and venture I've manifested and went to college for. I know I will do this, and all my boundaries are in place to stop others from taking advantage. I need to say no. Oh, that's very important. Yes. Yes, you need to say no. I wrote mine here because I'm confident it will happen. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, that is great. And I think also the difference is when you write your goals down, no matter how small they are, you somehow make yourself more accountable for those goals, and somehow you then perhaps work a little bit harder to achieve them because you've kind of committed yourself by writing them down, you know. So good for you, Claire. Good for you. Okay, is everyone else with me still? Okay, so then we're going to draw out our Ace of Cups. And as you know, cups, feelings, emotions, relationships, but also, you know, connections to other people. So not always romantic relationships, just connections with other people, or with, you know, with pets or animals, but we're not doing that in this particular reading today. So with your Ace of Cups, you're now going to think about, by the end of the year, what do you hope to have achieved with regards to new relationships and connections. Now, I'm going to give you a great example because Jane is here online, and Jane and I, well, we've been trying to meet up for months. And I must apologize that it's primarily my fault because I've been a bit insane. But if there's somebody that you're wanting to have a coffee with for months on end, Jane, I'm hereby committing in front of all these people that you and I are going to meet for that damn coffee. So this is what I hope to have achieved by the end of the year. No joke. I'm sure we'll have our coffee before then, Jane. But if there's connections or relationships with people that you want to reach out to, that you want to establish, if you want to reestablish, if you want to reaffirm friendships or anything like that, then what do you hope to achieve in this year? All right? Jane says we'll do it. Yes, we will. We will. Okay, so Ben said, yep, those were the easy aces, haha, but now it's emotions, and I try not to do those. Yeah, you Ben, you could you could make a sneaky excuse and just make it connections rather than emotions. So, you know, if it's too hard, you know, I mean, we could say, me as a menopausal woman, yeah, what do I hope to have achieved by the end of the year, emotion-wise, is not to be so emotional. But you know what, I'm being realistic, and that's not going to happen. So, you know, let's pick our battles, people. Let's pick our battles, and if it's too much, we'll try something else. Yeah. Okay. Enough about menopausal women. Okay, so last one. Ace of Wands. I left the fun one till last. So Ace of Wands. Wands is, you know, it's fire, it's passion, it's enthusiasm, it's anything that sparks fire within you. So in this case, I like to think of it as something fun, or, you know, hobby related. So perhaps, you know, excuse me, so perhaps this is, you know, okay, so by the end of the year, what do you hope to have achieved in the area of fun or hobbies, or perhaps even career related, but yeah, let's stick to fun and hobbies. Excuse me. Lorraine says you're amazing. That's sweet, thank you. Oh, I'm assuming you talk. Oh my God, what if you're not talking about me? How embarrassing that would be. I'm really hoping that was me, Lorraine, and I haven't completely just embarrassed myself. Yeah, connections are good, Ben. So so maybe Ben, it's expanding your tarot business, and the cups for you could be intuition, right? And connections could be all the people that you're going to connect with as you are building your business. So right, so Lorraine, okay, that's a relief. Lorraine was talking about me. I was just really embarrassed all of a sudden. I just thought I've just taken their compliments and just oh dear. Okay. Whew. It's got warm in here all of a sudden. Claire says, allowing people in more and let walls down. I always say pick your battles. Absolutely. To have more fun, stop being so uptight. That's mine. But you'll be able to have more fun now because you've got your new funky hip, Claire. So Claire, you'll be dancing soon. Yeah, I know I joke. It's easier said than done, and it's quite difficult for some people to actually make meaningful connections rather than just kind of superficial. Sometimes I just wish you were all closer. Oh, bless you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so yeah, so the wands is what are you hoping to achieve with regards to something fun, a hobby or something. For me specifically, the last 6 months have been full on work, and sort of my goal is just to have this work-life balance, and it's so hard, isn't it? It's so hard, especially when your work is also your passion, because then you find yourself kind of 24 hours a day going tarot, and even from that you need balance, so. Jane says, I'm going to say yes to more wild stuff. Okay, I can see Jane and I combining some goals here. So Jane and I are going to meet for our coffee. So that's going to be the Ace of Cups sorted. We're going to do wild stuff. I don't know, maybe we'll go canoeing down the river lot or something. Okay, so keep posted for those photos. Lorraine, I've always wanted to learn to use a sewing machine. Fantastic. Absolutely. And you're going to write a book about all the challenges that you had in 2021. So absolutely. I mean, and nowadays we can learn to do anything, with YouTube and the internet. It's incredible. It really is incredible. So go for it, Lorraine. Go for it. Claire says, I'm too sensible. I want to be free. Could Ace of Wands be to push out of comfort zone? Yes, I guess it could do, yes. There's a much broader perspective. Absolutely, yes. Because that fire is kind of burning, isn't it? So, if something's nice and contained, and then the fire comes and really pushes it out. Absolutely. And how are you going to be pushing out of your comfort zone, Mr. Tomlin? We all want to know. We all want to know. Jane says, that's my plan. I love canoeing and plan to do more of it this year. It's number one. Ooh, you see? I could pretend to be psychic now, but I'm not. We'll do something, Jane. We'll do something. Okay, so going through those 4 aces and thinking about all the things that you hope to have accomplished by the end of the year will inadvertently give you a list of goals without. Because you know how boring it is when people go, what are your goals for the year? And you go, yeah, I haven't really thought about it. The best thing to do is to think about being at the end of the time period and looking back at what you hope to have achieved. And that's much easier because then you kind of go, oh yeah, I hope to, for me personally, but I hope to have achieved, more Patreon members perhaps, and, sold a few more places on my course. And once you write those down, you're like, yay, I have a list of goals. All right, so it's much easier to do it that way. So, so now you have Jane said, we'll drink coffee whilst canoeing. Love it, Jane. Love it. Okay, everyone in the group's now going to be watching out for photographs of Colleen and Jane with their coffee in the canoe. Look forward to it. So now you've got your list of goals, all right? And again, they don't have to be major things, okay? So if Jane and our goal is to drink coffee in a canoe, somebody might have a goal of, I don't know, buying a house or having 6 children or whatever. So whatever the goals are, no matter how small they are or no matter how big they are, a goal is a goal, all right? So don't think, oh gosh, that's only something small, I'm not going to write that down. If it's something you have to work towards, it's a goal. Write it on your list. So now we get a bit tarot. Okay, because in order to accomplish those goals, you have to be of a certain disposition, don't you? You have to be a certain type of person to achieve those goals. Now, obviously, everybody's goals are different, and therefore it's going to require different character strengths and different personalities in order to accomplish those goals. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways. I've only listed one way in the workbook because that's what I was thinking about when I wrote it, but I've just thought of another way. So the first way is to pull out all your court cards, because what we're looking for now is we're looking for, I need to be a specific type of person in order to accomplish these goals. You're going to shuffle your court cards and you're going to draw 3 court cards. And you're going to interpret those court cards as their personalities. Okay, so we're not going to mess about with how am I interpreting this as a situation, as energy, as personality of me, of personality of somebody else. You are only interpreting those court cards as personality traits that you have to embrace in order to fulfill those goals. Okay, so I'm going to use Jane in my example again. So you shuffle the court cards and you pull out, I don't know, I want to say Queen of Cups because that's water related and we're going to be going canoeing with our coffee. But let's say we pull out Queen of Wands, okay? Now, Queen of Wands, we're both women, obviously. So it's a strong feminine card. And the Wands is giving us, determination and willpower, but also passion and enthusiasm and energy. And perhaps when we get together eventually and we decide to go canoeing down the river with our coffees, we're going to be all excited and full of energy. And, that's the type of personality that we would have to be in order to embrace that goal. So you can either pull the cards randomly, so you can shuffle your court cards and just draw 3 cards, asking the question, to achieve my goals, this is the type of personality aspects that I need to embrace. So that's the one way you can do it. Or you can look at your goals and decide what type of person you want to be in order to achieve those goals, and pick those court cards out manually, because you don't always have to be drawing tarot cards, okay? You can also pick them manually and say, today I want to embrace the magician energy, all right? And you pull that card manually and you stick it in front of you and you say, right, what does the magician stand for? He stands for, having his own willpower. He's got all the tools in front of him. He's learning how to use those tools. He's the one that's creating his future. That's the energy that I want to embrace today. So you can also draw the cards manually. So you can complete this particular exercise either way. Okay, you can either draw the cards, you can shuffle and pick and draw them, or you can manually pick them out of your court card pack. All right, so those are personality aspects that you would need to embrace in order to fulfill those goals. But then, because you always have to have the negative with the positive, I want you to draw another 3 court cards or pick another 3 court cards. So I'm just going to quickly read Linda's. I just shuffled got the Princess and the Queen of Swords. Is it Princess and Immature Vision? It depends on your deck, Linda. What deck are you using? Is it your pagan one? The reason I ask is because in the Thoth decks, in fact I think the Thoth decks it's the King and the Knight that are swapped around, if I remember correctly. Ben, can you help me out on that? I don't know if you're familiar with Thoth. With Thoth decks, I think there's a knight and a prince. One of them. It's with the Thoth deck. It's confusing because I think the knight and the king are swapped round. So the knight is actually a king and the king is actually a knight. And I was just wondering if it was the same with that druid craft. No, then I would suspect the princess is the page, Linda. So let me make a note because it might be specific on your deck. Okay, I'm going to look that up specifically for you, Linda, but as far as I know, sorry, let me just get my camera back. There we go. The princess is quite often the page, so you'll have page, you'll have princess, prince, queen, king, normally, but in a Thoth deck, the naming convention is slightly different, which can be confusing, but in your case, I suspect the princess is a page. Okay, so the page would be, so the pages are very young. I'm not sure about that. Okay, no worries. I just wondered offhand if you knew. The Thoth is a bit confusing. As far as I know, it's the king and the knight that are swapped round. Okay, so Ben said princess is the page. So the princess is the page energy. So the pages are all that very young, childlike energy, right? So you need to think about how children act. So how do, and it's swords, right? Okay, so think about a child who is very mentally active or very talkative, because it's swords. Remember, swords is all the mental realm and communication. And the page is that very young, childlike energy. So think about Lisa Simpson from The Simpsons, if you know. Or even the one from Harry Potter. I can never remember how to pronounce her bloody name. Hermione, the young girl from Harry Potter, right? So there's Ron, Harry, and the girl, and I can never remember her name. So think about the childlike energy. So there's a childlike enthusiasm, but someone who's very mentally active or very, very communicative. So maybe a chatterbox, or a child who, why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Why does the dog run? Why does a dog have 4 legs? Why is the tree tall? Someone who's just, that mental analytic is just as in overdrive, but it's a very childlike curiosity. So, and if that's what you would need to achieve your goals, Linda, you need to put yourself in that position of that child. Do you need to have a super, super, super inquiring mind that wants to learn about everything? What does this do? Why does that work? How does that work? How do I put that with that? That's that kind of childlike energy, all right? Queen of Wands. Lovely Queen of Wands for you, Lorraine. So Queen of Wands is fantastic. I mean, she's all charismatic, very strong feminine energy, but she loves to, she's very enthusiastic, and she's very energetic, and she's very, she's very sort of full on, if you know what I mean. So she's not kind of reserved or anything. She's very, very active, and she's very inspiring. So she loves to inspire others, and she loves to encourage others, and she loves to kind of, build others up. So it could be that you are very much like her, Lorraine, or that these are qualities that you need to embrace of hers. So fantastic. Lovely that you got 2 wands there, Lorraine, right? So if these are personality traits that you need to embrace in order to achieve your goals, and you get 2 Wands cards, that means you need to be pushing. Yeah, there's willpower, there's determination, there's a forward movement, there's kind of, this is you grabbing your goals and going for it. This isn't you going, oh well, I think I'm going to do this and maybe I'll do that. No sitting around. This is you learning to use the sewing machine and writing a book. And King of Cups is mastery of emotions, isn't it? The king is the master of his domain. So all kings have accomplished full-on success in their element. That's why they're kings. So here's somebody who is able to show full range of emotions, be completely comfortable with that, but not be overwhelmed by them. Okay, so he's mastered his emotions. Wonderful. Well done, Lorraine. That's a great combination. So Diane says, Knight of Cups, Page of Pentacles, Page of Wands, stay in my adult booth. Okay, so Diane, these are still in order to achieve your goals, these are the personality traits that you have to embrace, right? So you need to be more like the Knight of Cups, the Page of Pentacles, and the Page of Wands, which I would say is to embrace your inner, your youthful side. Your youthful side, because the Knights are that kind of adolescent energy and the Pages are children. And if those are the 3 cards that you've drawn which are there to help you achieve your goals, then that's the type of sort of age of the energy, if you like. So the Knights are that young adolescent, the Pages are children, so it's a very young, very almost a childlike way. But I mean, children have fantastic positives, don't they? They do tend to be overly curious, but they also tend to kind of take risks. Oh no, we haven't got to sabotages yet. But yeah, okay. Okay, so those are your sabotages. Okay, in which case, yes, then you are spot on correct, then yes. So if those are your sabotaging cards, then yes, you are right. You would need to you would need to not be youthful. So yeah, so you would need to stay in your adult boots, just like you've said. Okay, my bad. What cards did you get, Dion, for your? You didn't put, did you? No. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so then you would draw another 3 cards, and those 3 cards are going to be the personality aspects that are going to sabotage your goals. So these are, for instance, if so I'll give you an example for me, right? When I'm teaching or I'm creating anything for AP, I go into Queen of Wands mode. Okay, Queen because it's feminine energy, because I'm a woman. No, surprise. And Wands because I'm enthusiastic and passionate about what I do, but I also want to create passion and enthusiasm in everybody who wants to learn to read tarot. Okay, so I want to encourage that. But the Queen and the Kings, they're very they've mastered their elements. Okay, so the Queen of Wands, even though she's fire, she has a way of controlling that fire in order to be most effective in what she does. So in other words, I can teach and I can inspire and I can create enthusiasm with people, but I make sure that it's focused so that it's effective. What I tend to do is I slip down into Knight of Wands mode, which means I go, oh, I can create this course and I can create this course and then I can link that to that and then I'm going to put that with that and then I'll create this workbook to do that and then I'm going to do that and I like, it's fire out of control. So I have lots of enthusiasm and lots of passion, but I have no focus and I have no structure with that fire. So I end up creating 20,000 things on my to-do list, thinking at the time that it's a great idea because I'm creating all these wonderful things for everybody. But the thing is, there's no way that I can get it all done. I don't have enough hours in my day, and it's so typical night energy, because nights tend to be all about action but not really thinking things through. So the Knight of Wands is very much like, yeah, I have all these plans, or it's like I say to John, oh, I'm going to do this and this, and John looks at me and goes, when? And then I think, oh yeah, I have to engage my queen again to go, okay, think about this, let's put some structure in. And so for me, the sabotaging personality trait would be the Knight of Wands coming in against my queen, okay? Because the knight's just going to be flailing around in lots of fire and enthusiasm, but not actually getting anything done. Whereas the king and the queen will have more structure because they will have mastered their element. I hope that makes sense. So the three cards that you pull are going to be personality traits that work against you. Perhaps you procrastinate a lot, or you talk too much and not get anything done, and they're going to be those sorts of things. Lorraine, in answer to your question, yes, I would. Well, now that's interesting. So, there could be two ways. You could draw the 3 core cards for the personality traits that you have to embrace in order to achieve your goals, and leave them there. And then you could shuffle the rest on the basis that, if you got the same cards for what personality traits do I have to embrace, as opposed to what personality traits would sabotage me, that might lead to confusion. However, if you did decide to do it that way, you would simply read the positive and negative traits of that card. So if you put all the cards back and reshuffled, and perhaps you drew Queen of Wands as a personality trait that you have to embrace in order to achieve your goals, and then you put the cards back in and you shuffled, and then you drew the Queen of Wands again as the card that the personality trait that's going to sabotage you, you could read that then as the negative personality traits of the Queen of Wands. Okay? That would be entirely up to you. So if you found that too difficult, then do it the other way. Okay? But yeah, so you could read the personality, the positive aspects as the ones that are going to help you to achieve the goals, and the negative aspects as the ones that are going to sabotage your goals. All right, does that make sense? So now you've got some personality traits which you need to embrace, and some personality traits that you need to kind of watch out for, because you know that they might not do you any good. All right. So you've got your list of goals and you've got the personality traits. So the next thing you need to know about, so you've got your goals and you've got your personality traits, you need to now know what obstacles are you going to face. All right? And I've said in the workbook, draw 2 cards. Now, this is up to you. If you want to draw 5 cards and decide that you're going to have 5 obstacles, feel free. If you want to draw 1 card and say I'm only going to have 1 obstacle, great. I've just said 2. You can either read that as 2 obstacles, or you can read those 2 cards as a pair as 1 obstacle. It's entirely up to you, okay? So you decide what you want to do there. Okay, Lorraine. Oh wow, Lorraine, 3 pages? Wow. So that's interesting. So Dion's got the pages as the personality aspects. Oh no, you also got the personality aspects that you needed to, that are going to sabotage you. That's right. Yeah, Lorraine's also got swords, pentacles, and cups. So if those are the ones that are going to sabotage you, Lorraine, then this is about you not embracing the childlike aspects of your personality. It's time for you to step into your adult shoes. Let me scroll back up. What did you have? Oh, but you see, you had a page of... So interesting. So you've got a queen and a king in the cards that the personality aspects that you need to embrace. So you've got the queen and the king, so very, very, very adult. But you've got a page there as well, but only the page of wands. Okay, so that's kind of like a young, like exploring person who wants to, you know, I always think about this is like the child at parties, you know, that always runs amok. There's always one child at parties, isn't there, that's climbing the trees and riding the dog and falling over the table and jumping in the swimming pool. And yeah, that's I kind of always think that's the page of wands. It's not saying, remember Lorraine, that you shouldn't be like that all the time. It just means for your specific goals in this instance, you need to be in your adult shoes. So all right, so we're now on to obstacles. So like I say, you pull as many cards as you want, and you can either read them as a group or you can read them individually. So if you pull 2 cards for 2 obstacles, or 2 cards which you read together for 1 obstacle, is entirely up to you. So you play with how you want to do that. Then you're going to draw again as many cards as you want to match however many cards you drew for the previous question. You're going to draw cards for how you might overcome those obstacles. Okay, so I mean, I don't have, oh, actually I do. Always got the radiant. Okay, so let's say you drew what obstacles might I encounter this year, and you drew the Fool. No, these are normal cards, Lorraine. So these are back to normal cards. All right. The court cards were only for the personality aspects. So if you drew the Fool as an obstacle that you mount, any 2 cards. Yeah. Okay. So any 2 cards from the deck. If you drew the Fool card as an obstacle that you might encounter this year, you might interpret that as, okay, I might be, you know, too quick to make a decision, or I might, you know, be jumping off the cliff without really thinking about it, and maybe I'm not, you know, I won't be thinking things through, or maybe I'm not really thinking about where I'm going, and I'm just kind of just randomly heading in in the direction in front of me. So you know, you would interpret that card as an obstacle. Okay, and then you would draw another card, or 2 or whatever, as a card which will help you overcome that obstacle. So if I've decided my obstacle here is you know, taking unnecessary risks, or you know, jumping into things without really thinking them through, the Knight of Pentacles has come in to tell me that how I can overcome those obstacles is to slow down and think before I act. Okay, so the Knight of Pentacles is renowned for being really quite slow, but the reason he's slow is because he likes to plan. So the Knight of Pentacles won't do anything unless there's a plan for it. Okay, so he doesn't jump into anything. He's not fiery, he's not enthusiastic, he's nothing. He's a planner. And that's how those 2 cards would act together. So you decide how many cards you want to draw, but the first batch of cards will be obstacles that you might encounter, and the second group of cards will be how you're going to overcome those obstacles. Does that make sense? Okay, just making sure everybody's okay before I carry on. Is everybody all right? Okay. Okay, I'll carry on, but tell me if you're okay or if you're not okay, all right? So a last thing for this particular section is to then grab an oracle deck or a tarot deck. So if you've got an oracle deck, use it, but if you don't, then just use, sorry, I'm distracted because I've just noticed Lorraine's moving to Ireland. Wow, okay. Brilliant. Sorry, yes. So use a tarot or an oracle card for this next section. Okay, I'm just going to go back and read comments. So Ben says, yep, so challenges were five of Pentacles. The Emperor and the Empress. Wow. Overcome with temperance. Okay, so Ben, oh, sorry, got an itchy eye. So you now need to decide how you're going to read those cards. So are you going to read Temperance as the overcoming the Five of Pentacles, Hermit overcoming the Emperor, and Two of Swords overcoming Empress? Or are you going to read the Five of Pentacles, Emperor and Empress as one, and Temperance, the Hermit, and Two of Swords as the overcoming the obstacles? So you decide how you want to read those two. Lots of mages there, Ben, hey? Look at that. Emperor, Empress, Hermit, and Temperance. Of course, you could also bring into your into this reading your year card. So, you know, you might find your year card for this year as one of the cards that you've drawn, either as a strength or a weakness or something. So that might also be interesting. So Linda's got as obstacles Two of Wands and Two of Pentacles. So that's interesting, Linda, that you've got twos. So both of them are twos. And twos are choices, decisions, also duality. So sort of a splitting into two from one. Yeah, perhaps there's lots of choices and decisions. But I'm thinking here with Wands and Pentacles, that's kind of thinking that's to do with work. Do you think it's to do with work, Linda? Or certainly something that you're working on? Because the Pentacles is that kind of home, but, well, it can also be work, but Wands is quite sometimes career. Choices, decisions, wow. So maybe the obstacles are that there's too many choices and decisions to make, and perhaps it's a bit overwhelming. Wow. Okay, Ben says they're reading them as one, as the overcome to the other. So Hermit overcoming Hermit. That can't be right. Your year card is the Star. Okay, so Lorraine says Two of Wands for obstacle, and Seven of Pentacles is overcoming obstacle. Oh, interesting, Lorraine. So Two of Wands is like I was just saying to Linda, that the twos are kind of choices and decisions, aren't they? So your Wands, is this something to do with sort of free will, or Wands are normally that kind of willpower or passion, or there seems to be some sort of choice there about a will, or making a decision about a will, something that requires your willpower in some way. And Seven of Pentacles is a lovely watch and wait card. Seven of Pentacles is it's reassessment, isn't it? Reassessment of things that are, it's kind of sitting in and reassessing what needs to be done next. But again, with regards to kind of home or finances even. Very interesting. So Ben has got the Star as his year card. My hubby wants to start his own business, so it looks like we have to move back to the UK. Ah. Well, you'll be lucky moving back to the UK, because that's predominantly where all the members of this group are. UK and US and Australia. But nobody in France except Jane and I. Hermit overcoming Emperor. Yes, Ben. I did wonder when I read it. I was like, oh, I'm sure I've misunderstood something there. So interesting. Hermit overcoming Emperor, right? Because that's kind of like, oh, do you know what? I'm getting the feeling that's about you defying I'm thinking this is your business though, but this is like you, because Hermit is looking inward, right? But I'm just getting the feeling, because you said about the Star card, and the Hermit has the star in his lamp, so I'm thinking like Hermit is you, and it's you kind of reflecting inward, overcoming the Emperor. And the Emperor is all about the structure and stability, and this is how things are done. I mean, I know I'm thinking slightly Hierophant, but this is you being you, so you're self-reflecting because you've got the star in your lamp, overcoming the obstacle of the Emperor. So the obstacle is that structure and stability. It's like the way things are done, and then this is you stepping into your own. This is you stepping into your own. So that's quite interesting, actually. There's things going on there for you, Ben. I'm sure there are. Good. Jane staying right there. Yes, so coffee and canoeing is on. Okay. So last step in this section, which was called something. I haven't given it a heading. Oh, I have. I've lost my piece of paper. Okay, so this is the one where we're welcoming in the new year. Okay. So the last. I don't know what I've done with it. Oh, I hope I haven't made a mistake in the notes. Oh no, I haven't. There it is. Vision ceremony. That's what I call it. Vision ceremony. So the last step in the vision ceremony for this year is to draw a tarot or an oracle card. So it's up to you which. Asking what is the best advice for achieving my goals this year. So because for this vision ceremony, what we've done so far is we've stated our goals using the aces. We've stated our goals. So in each area of our life, we've stated our goals. We've established some personality traits that are going to help us achieve our goals. And we've established some personality traits that are going to perhaps sabotage our achieving those goals. Then we've established some obstacles and how we can overcome those obstacles. And lastly, yes, Lorraine, just draw, so shuffle your oracle or your tarot deck and just draw one randomly. We're going to pick one card, and that's going to be, what is the best advice for achieving my goals this year? I would personally prefer an oracle card in that position, because you have nice kind of and also make it a nice deck. Okay, don't pick a shadow work deck for that question. You want a nice deck that says, embrace your strength, or Build strong foundations, something that's got nice affirmations as their little statements, not something deep, dark, and meaningful. All right. And you've got a nice big section here. You've got a nice big section there to write your interpretation of that card as the advice for your coming year. So that's that bit for the year. Then have you chosen, Linda, I don't have an oracle deck, so did tarot got the Fool? Perfect. So you don't have to use an oracle. Tarot is also fine. And the Fool is a great card. The Fool is a great card, because if you delve into all the meanings of the Fool and you look at all those the positive traits of the Fool, I would say that's a great card. A great card for the year. So with regards to your word of the year, have all of you, sorry, Jane got Two of Swords. Okay, so Two of Swords is the best advice for achieving your goals. Okay. Have a look at the picture, Jane. What deck are you using? Are you using a Rider-Waite? I'm just going to do this one because Two of Swords. I actually got that card. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I got the Two of Swords as the gratitude card draw for the group next week. And I was the same. I was like, crap. Two of Swords is, I don't know if you use the Rider-Waite, if this is the same. Light Seers. Okay, perfect. Two of Swords, Two of Swords. I can't think what the Two of Swords looks like in the Light Seers. I do have the Light Seers, I just can't think. So it all depends on what the picture is. But if I talk you through this one, if you're viewing this as an advice card, so you would think about how to see the positive side of this particular card, okay? And a great way of looking at it is if you look at, and I don't like I said, I can't remember what the Light Seer's picture is, but very often this card's got water in it, and as we all know, water is associated with cups, not swords, right? But there's ravens around the girl's head. That's right. Yes, you're right. Okay, so there's no water in that one, is there? Okay, I'll come back to that one then. But typically, there's water in this card, and the fact that she's blindfolded, a bit like the Justice card, she's having to make this decision not based on what she sees, but rather in this case what she thinks, because it's a Swords card. But the fact that there's water in the background shows that there's also a lot of emotion involved in this decision, but primarily it's in her mind, because we're dealing with a Swords card. So this card for me is always having to strike a balance between what your heart feels and what your mind thinks. And as an advice card, I would say this is getting the balance between those two things, and perhaps this is taking the blindfold off, or perhaps being able to look at her emotions as well as her thoughts and getting the combination of those two right before she can make the decision, because this is all about choices and decisions, and she can't make that decision if she hasn't got those two things perfectly balanced. And I always think that's why the Swords are at that perfect kind of status. They're in that perfect way, because they have to be balanced for her to be able to make that decision. So it's a tough one with the Light Seers, if I remember now, with the ravens, and perhaps that's also about if you look at the light seers, you never quite know whether the ravens are kind of pecking her, or whether they're actually helping her take her blindfold off in order to be able to make her choices and decisions much more in a much more sort of aware status, rather than being blindfolded. So it's not always a bad card. As you know, I always say, there's no such thing as a positive or a negative tarot card, because it's all to do with how it's placed in the spread. A brutal choice card, one or the other, and I'm a Libra. Yeah, Ben's a Libra as well, so yeah, that's going to be hard for you, but hard for you, but also easier, because the Libras are naturally drawn to making things balanced. So maybe you have to tap into that as a strength, that you're able to balance those things. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. You're going to need balance if we're going to be in a canoe, Jane. Come on. Okay, so going back to word of the year. So have you all chosen your words of the year, and is it something that you do? I got radiate from the prairie majesty. The question is, how am I the light and darkness? So I'm going with, I need to be more open with and more true to me and what I bring to the table. Yes, Ben, and that also matches up that whole kind of Hermit Emperor thing, doesn't it? Lovely. Yes, so tell me if you do any of you do words of the year. You may have seen the post that I did earlier on in the week about it as well, so I don't know if any of you had. Lorraine, I think you had a word from that, didn't you? So while I'll leave you to answer that, and for those of you that don't know, so word of the year is just it's a way of either choosing a word that you're going to use as a focus word for the year, or you can use a card deck to draw the word. So Linda's just replied, yeah, that's right. So I did a post in the group where I have a little, it's a self-printable deck that you can download off the internet. It's called the Word of the Year Oracle. I use it quite often in my readings as well, because it's quite handy to have kind of focus words. But on New Year's Day, I decided I would, just give everyone a chance, and I'd shuffle and draw a word. And it's quite nice, because it gives you a word as a focus for the year. You can either draw one randomly, or you can choose a word specifically. So Linda said I asked you to do my words, and I got surrender and harmony, and that's because while I was shuffling, two just went flying out the deck, and I was like, okay, all right. I used those two. They obviously, so everybody else got one word, but Linda got two. Carrie says I don't usually. Yeah, I mean, it's not a requirement. It's, it can be quite fun, but it's not, not necessary. So Jane got magical. Lorraine says, eek, I've forgotten. Lovely to know I created such a great impression. No worries. You can go back and check it if you want to. So the nice thing about words of the year is that once you have your words, then everything you do throughout the year, everything you get involved with, everything you come up against, you keep taking back to that word. So I had real difficulty choosing mine. I think I ended up with 6 in the end, because I couldn't narrow down. I couldn't narrow it down anymore. Dion says, Mama, your gift to me was focus. Say no more. And Sheena gave me accelerated. That's right, yeah. That's right, because when you looked at the picture, you saw joy first, didn't you? And then I drew one, focus, and then Sheena said it accelerated for you, yeah. So Dion's got 3. And I went through the deck. I like to choose mine manually, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to decide what it is I'm going to focus on this year. And there's, one of the words is authentic. So that's very, very big for me, because it took me a very, very, very long time to be authentic. It's not easy. It's not easy. And when we come out the tarot closet, it's scary, because there's, you meet up with all sorts of perceived challenges as well as real challenges, and it's quite scary. So for me, the word authentic, which is why my business name is Authentic Pathways, is incredibly meaningful. So I will always have the word authentic. But then I think I've got the word fearless. I've got the word empowered. I've chosen the word empowered because my year card for this year is strength. And strength just sounded a bit mundane. It was just like, yeah, strength. What does it mean? But empowered is strength, but it's a much more empowering word. So I chose, and I ended up like choosing 6, and then I couldn't narrow them down anymore, and I just thought, stuff it, I'm just going to have all 6. So if you do word of the year, fab, but if you don't, it's also no worries. So Dion's going to add authentic to hers as well, so she got 4. Fabulous. Lorraine says, I can totally see that, and what drew me to your page. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you will only get the real thing here. So the last step in the workbook is to create a vision board. And if you haven't created a vision board yet, I highly, 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 highly recommend it, because it is heaps of fun, and you have enough information now. You have goals that you're going to create, that you're going to achieve, and you have personality aspects that you have to embrace that are going to help you to achieve those goals. So now I want you to collect and cut up as many unsuspecting magazines as you can find. And I want you to get a big A3 piece of cardboard. If you have your word for the year, or 2 or 3 or 4 words, write them in the middle of that piece of cardboard. And then cut up the magazines with all the pictures that for you symbolize what your goals are. If your goals were, Jane and I keep going back to that, we're going to have coffee and go canoeing, so then I'm going to find a picture of a canoe or a picture of coffee, and I'm going to put it up on my board. And that will not only symbolize the fact that Jane and I are eventually going to have that coffee, it will also symbolize that one of my goals for the Ace of Cups was, by the end of the year, I'm going to have made some new connections. So the coffee picture on that vision board will symbolize that. Perhaps I'm hoping to, enroll more people on tarot courses this year. So maybe I'll find a picture of a classroom and some students, and I cut that out and I stick it on the vision board to remind me that's something that I want to achieve. All sorts of things. It could be words, it could be colors, depending on how you interpret your goals. If there's a personality trait that you have to embrace, that's strength and assertiveness, and you find a picture of somebody who looks strong and assertive in a magazine, then cut them out and stick them on your board. And what you're ultimately going to end up with is an A3 board full of visual images that are going to remind you on a daily basis of the things that you want to achieve this year. By the time you get to the 31st of December this year, you're going to look back and say, ja, 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 ja. Those are all the things I achieved this year. But it's going to be easier for you to do that if you've got this board stuck up in your room somewhere so that you can see it, all right? Now, Diane's just commented I might add some tarot cards to my vision board goals too. That is something which I was going to suggest. So it's a bit of a crappy picture because it's a black and white printout. But this was my vision board last year. And all I did is I took some words: love, encourage, and inspire. And the encourage and inspire were words that for me were associated with my AP Learn to Read Tarot, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to encourage people to learn, and I wanted to inspire people to learn. And then I went through all my tarot decks. These are mainly oracles, and I found the ones that had phrases on that encompassed my goals. Okay, so there's purpose. I know what I'm here to do. Courage. I find the inner strength to face fear with courage, with confidence even. Abundance. Okay, then there's meditate. So I'm struggling to read it because it's a bad printout. Meditate. There's a picture of the Hermit card from the Everyday Witch Tarot. It's a bit of a bad printout, but basically there's a lady out in the woods sitting on her own under a tree, and she's got a bonfire in front of her. I love that. It's that solitude, kind of meditating in front of the fire. Wonderful. And then there's some oracle cards here. Find your tribe, and that was so important for me. And I mean, that for me is a huge achievement from last year, that AP Learn to Read Tarot grew, because that's my tribe. You know, it's where we all chat about the thing that we're all passionate about. Make new friends, step out of the shadows, follow a new path, let go, be patient. Oh, that's a stupid one. I'm never going to achieve that. So find tarot cards or oracle cards, and, you know, scan them and print them and cut them out and stick them on your vision board. And the more visual it is, the more colorful it is. Draw on it with pens, you know, stick stickers on it, photographs. Make it personal and make it your own, and then stick it up somewhere. Stick it up where you can see it every day, in your dining room, above your dressing table, you know, in your office, anywhere where you can see it every day. And it will just remind you, and it will inspire you. It will inspire you, because when you create it, you're going to be full of enthusiasm for your goals, and you're going to be enjoying cutting the pictures out and creating this board. So every time you look at it, you're going to be filled with a great energy. And that is how you're going to look forward to the coming year. So that's it. That's it. So it's a little bit of tarot and a little bit of the coaching side, but I think with both things you're always Lorraine, I have to go to hubby needs laptop too. No worries. Thank you for joining, Lorraine. Thank you for joining. And it, you know, it's a nice way to kind of compartmentalize the last year and kind of put it to bed, and then bring in the new stuff, focus on it, and then aim for it. You know, give it something that, give it a way that you can actually make it real. Made one electronically but then didn't print it out. Carrie, yeah, I think it's important to print it out so that you can see it every day. You want to just look at it. Now, Dion's got, how did you do this, please? Now, I mean, obviously Carrie will answer. I know Elizabeth uses Microsoft OneNote a lot, because you can put pictures in there really easily, and you can write, and you can also dictate so that you don't have to type. But you find something that's, you know, that's suitable for you. I like the actual action of cutting pictures out and stuff, and I don't, well, as you can tell, I don't have a color printer at home. And as much as this was nice to have stuck up on the wall, it's a black and white printout. It was a bit boring. So I think I'd rather go for you know, for colored magazine images and stuff. And if you do make one, please take a photo of it and put it in the group and let us see it, because I think it's exciting to see how other people do it. And yeah, you know, we can all inspire each other. So Carrie says she uses PowerPoint. Fabulous. I'll share a snip in the group. That would be great. Thank you, Carrie. Super duper. So if you've got any questions, please fire away now. And if you've enjoyed this group, this chat, and you aren't on Patreon, please join, because we do have a monthly chat that's kind of loosely around divination topics, which is a video conference where we can all actually see each other and we chat. That's the top tier. But the other tier is 4 tutorials per month, so it's proper tarot tutorials, and they roughly an hour, depending on how chatty everyone is. But you get 4 of those a month. So let me know if that's something you're interested in, and if you've got any more questions about Patreon and you want to ask about the subscription and how it all works, then feel free to ask. Do you have any questions about tonight's chat, though? And Dion, thank you for staying up, or for waking up and staying up. Right, I'll just wait and see if there's any more questions. Ben says this was brilliant as always. You are most welcome. Thank you. Jane, great, absolutely fantastic session. Thank you so much. You are very welcome. Dion, 1 for each kitty cats and 1 for you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Super duper. So no more questions? Nope, it's been brilliant. Okie dokie. Okay, well, if you have got questions, just ask them here, because I'll still see them in the group, so that should be all right. Good. Well, I shall leave it now, and I shall head to bed. And I will see you in the group. Thank you all very much for attending. And have a fantastic year, whatever your vision board shows. Great. Okie dokie. I will catch you next time, everyone. Cheers for now. Bye bye.